Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of On the Mark. I'm your host, Mark Brantley, and I hope to be here with you, God willing, for the next 2 hours, starting now and going until the hour of 10 p.m. Every Wednesday we're here for 2 hours of primetime talk radio, and we remain, after 2 decades, the only show of its kind in the Federation, where we afford you, the listening public, an opportunity to call in and to debate matters that might be of interest to you. Each week, the format of the show is that I put a few things on the table and then I open the lines for a discussion. I encourage you, when the lines are open, that you call in and you raise the points that you need to raise. On this show, we try not to be argumentative. We try to have discussions and debates. We will not always agree. In fact, we do not always agree. But I urge everyone to be respectful of each other and respectful of the standards that Von Radio has set, where only the best will do. If you're tuned in, it must mean that you're listening to VON Radio, the voice of Nevis, 860 on your AM dial. I know that some are watching the live stream on Facebook and YouTube. I welcome all of you to this show. I say a special evening, of course, to the wonderful people here in Nevis, those over in our sister St. Kitts, those who are listening throughout the Caribbean, particularly where there are large pockets of Nevisians and Kittitians living, places like Anguilla, St. Martin, Saba, Statia, the U.S. Virgin Islands, the British Virgin Islands. I say good evening to you. And then when we go up to the mainland, good evening, of course, to friends and family in the United States and across the border in Canada, especially in Canada, places like Kitchener, where I know there are Nevisians and Kittitians, in the Toronto area generally. And also, of course, in America, we have lots of Kittitians and Nevisians all across New York, places like the Bronx and Queens and Brooklyn. We have lots across the border in Connecticut. We have some up in Boston. And we want to say good evening to you. Those who are down in Florida, South Florida, good evening to you. And, of course, our friends and family who are there in places like Georgia, in Atlanta, we say good evening. Good evening to those who are across the pond, across the Atlantic Ocean in the United Kingdom. I know that we have listeners, regular listeners, in places like Leeds and Manchester and Leicester and places like those. And so I say good evening to you as well, and welcome to this show. This is truly, through the marvel of technology, an opportunity for us to connect with each other and to have that discussion. I pride myself that as premier of this island, I can come week after week here on this show. Once I am well and once I have not traveled, I am here. I would say nowadays I'm here 70, perhaps 80% of the time. And the reason for that is obviously to continue this very important exercise in freedom of speech and strengthen this very important pillar of our democracy. To have a conversation, but also as the leader of this island, to allow our people an opportunity to call in and to ask questions and to share their views on a number of matters. At the end of the day, this island belongs to all of us. This country belongs to all of us. And whilst we may not always agree in terms of the politics, we may not always agree in terms of other things, we may not always agree in terms of decisions that are taken, at the end of the day, we are all Nevisians and Kittitians, and we should all be interested in the advancement of our island home. And so for me, when people ask, well, you're premier now, why do you bother? I see this as a critical part of what I do. I remain one of the few leaders in the region that has this type of regular exchange with the people whom we serve. I see this as an important duty on my part. And whilst this show would have started before I was even in politics and later continued whilst I was in opposition, I have not discontinued the show for all the years that I've been in government, because I think it's an important medium for us to engage with each other. I have a monthly press conference, another innovation that was introduced by me as Premier, to allow an interaction with the press, and we do that on a monthly basis. We try to keep that appointment with the press every single month. But I recognize that that happens during the workday. Many people might be at work and not able to pay attention. And so this show continues to fill a gap, if you will, by allowing the populace to have direct access, unfiltered access. No need to go through a secretary or an assistant to come and have a conversation on radio where we can debate and discuss the issues. Again, however, I urge you to be respectful. That is why we're here, to demonstrate the very best of the island of Nevis. We boast a 99% literacy rate on this island. Let us in our discussions show the world that that is not misplaced, and that literacy doesn't simply mean that we can read, see, spot, run, but that we can reason, we can debate, and even when we disagree, we have no need to be disagreeable. That for me is very important. Now, some people call in and it is obvious that they want to make their political points, and that's okay. Some call in and I realize that they've been given a script, because there are some out there who want to be politicians but don't have themselves the temerity to call in, and so they give somebody a piece of paper to say, call in and read that. And that's all right. Every voice needs to be heard. But I urge those who want to call in that if you have questions, if you have comments, then you must also be prepared for the responses and for information if you seek information. If you're just calling in to have your voice heard and to use the show as a bully pulpit, to shout and to carry on, that's not really the purpose of the show. The show is for us to engage with each other. So if you have a question about something, I listen. And then I hope that you will allow me to respond and for you to listen, because that's the only way a conversation can occur. If you're doing all the talking, then that's not a conversation. That's a monologue. That's a soliloquy. You and you alone are talking. If I'm doing all the talking, equally, it's not a conversation. It's a monologue. And so we want a dialogue, not a monologue. We want to be able to speak to each other. And even if at the end of the day, I cannot persuade you and you cannot persuade me, at least let us in our exchange enrich those who are listening. Let people, and the people across the world, some who are not in vision or petition, who listen to this show. Over the years, we have had calls from Jamaica. We have had calls from Belize. We have had calls from other places like Grenada. People who say they've come across the show, they like the standard, and they've called in. So we are being listened to widely through the marvel of modern technology. Let those who are listening go away from this show feeling enriched, that they've heard the cut and thrust of debate. They've heard the issues dissected and discussed. Let that be our standard. And this notion that we just want to call in to grandstand and shout and carry on, let us put that aside. And let us ensure that we can engage in a proper dialogue. So with that short opening, let me move to one or two topics. I'm very pleased that today the Four Seasons Resort Nevis, the flagship hotel here on the island of Nevis, would have announced that it is sold out. They have this very interesting way of telling us that they're sold out. They say that they are fully committed. And when they're fully committed, they tend to shut the hotel off to outside guests, and they tell you that for that period of time they can't accommodate anyone from the outside because they are bursting at the seams. For that to be the case midway into the month of April, I think is simply remarkable. I spoke to a worker from the Four Seasons recently. Like many young people here, she is doing two jobs. And she said to me that she was doing well. She said that this season has been like no other. That the struggle for her right now is not how much work she can get, but whether or not she can get some time off. That warms my heart. We all know that tourism has been seasonal. And we have been working hard as a government, through the Nevis Tourism Authority, through the Ministry of Tourism, working with the hotel sector, working with the restaurant and the allied sectors to see how we can expand the season. Our sister St. Kitts has been doing the same. When we have in June the St. Kitts Music Festival, we have in July the Nevis Mango Festival, we have Nevis Culturama. All of those are now being wrapped in a way to try to encourage people to come to the islands in what is considered the off-season, the summer months, when many tourists, if they're traveling, head elsewhere. I believe that those efforts are bearing some fruit. And I am pleased that we have continued to develop the infrastructure in Nevis in a way that the allied services in particular are now not only more popular but more populous. They are there for everyone to see. The Malcolm Gishard Park that we built, and that is now the most sought after venue in the entire Federation. So sought after is the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park for events that sometimes the very government that owns it, our departments cannot get a booking because it is continually sold out. 365 days in a year, it is not uncommon for us to have 200, 250 plus days and nights booked at that facility. People are using it for weddings, for conferences, for engagements of all kinds, for cocktail parties, for concerts, and of course it's available for those who just want to go and relax. We have two shops there, a smoothie shop on the one end, and on the other end we have a video arcade. And we continue to maintain that facility at a high level. Just below, we have completed and inaugurated last year the second phase of that project, and that was the beach phase, where we have put in beautiful boardwalks, parking, lighting, sewage, change rooms, bathrooms, toilets. We have lifted that environment with landscaping. We have put in proper security so that people can feel comfortable. And the area is well lit and beautifully manicured. I have not heard one person say a bad word about that project. Why do I mention it now? I mention it now because it is an investment in our people, to be sure. I always say that what we do for the people of Nevis. If others enjoy it, then that's a plus. But it is also important that those who are visiting Nevis now have so many options. Dining options, entertainment options, options for their family to walk that boardwalk, young lovers holding hands, having a drink, old lovers holding hands, having a drink, families congregating in a family-friendly environment, which is clean, which is beautiful. And what we have done there is to create that environment where those who visit the island, including our brothers and sisters from St. Kitts, have an environment there that they can enjoy. I believe we have 8 or 9 bars and restaurants now in that area, all next to each other, all serving a variety of foods and drinks and cocktails, and an environment where people can definitely go out on any night of the week, but especially on weekends, and enjoy themselves. When therefore visitors come to the island, they have an opportunity to enjoy all that we have created there at Pinnies. And when our brothers and sisters from St. Kitts come home to this part of their home, they too have the opportunity to enjoy what we have done there at Pinnies. We did not stop there. We have transformed the bath stream and are now in the process of significant renovations at the Bath Hotel. The transformation of the bath stream has been nothing short of miraculous. I have persistently been on record congratulating Sylvester Meade, who was so passionate about this project and who insisted that it had to be done and came to me and badgered me about having it done, and our permanent secretary John Hanley, who supported that project and would have managed the effort from the ministry's perspective. That project, ladies and gentlemen, is a masterpiece. The environment that has been created there is nothing short of a Garden of Eden-like experience, where we have now the hot baths, we have the spring cafe where you can get local drinks, local eats, I was there the other day, and Irv Simmons, the manager there, is now offering people bush tea complimentary at that. We have introduced a nominal fee for visitors. It remains free for our own citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis. We have now discussed and are seeking to introduce a low rate for residents, people living here but who are not citizens. And of course, as I said, we've introduced a nominal fee of just $5 for those who are visiting. The idea behind that fee structure is to make it available to our people for free, but also to say to others when they come that there are some costs associated with the upkeep, and as a consequence we're asking them to pay a nominal amount to enjoy what is a natural phenomenon here on the island of Nevis, our hot springs. But again, those who are visiting the island have the opportunity to go there. And those who are here on the island have the opportunity to go to read a book, to take their easel and do some painting, to write poetry, to write a song, to write a book, to relax. And I want our people to understand that all of these are important. These oases of calm and relaxation, because that is very important to our well-being as a people. If you go to New York City, a city that I love, with all the hustle and bustle, in the middle of New York City is a huge park, Central Park. If you go to London, there are many, Hyde Park and others. The reason for that is that those people in those civilizations recognize that leisure and having areas to relax are as an integral and intricate part of our humanity as having all the other aspects. And so we have created at Pinnies and created at the Bath Stream these oases of calm, of relaxation, of mental well-being, and we urge our people to enjoy them. We have continued with our developments, whether they be at the Nevis Heritage Village, there at Fort Ashby, Fort Charles, forgive me. We have done great work at New River, with more work to come. And we are slowly developing, as we go, the various sites here on the island of Nevis. It is important that we cherish our shared history. Not all of it was glorious. Much of it was spent with our people in chains and enslaved. But the fact that we are here today standing strong, building on that foundation that was left by our forebears, it tells us that we are a resilient people. We have the DNA of survivors, and those who survive are always the strongest. And that is why, with all the darts that are thrown at me sometimes, with all the barbs and the efforts to denigrate and to bring down, I have always stood tall as a Nevisian and said that I am undaunted. I am not fearful. I am fearing no man, because in my veins courses the blood of kings and queens who were our ancestors from Africa. And I think that all of our people, young and old, need to be of a similar mindset. And Nevisians have always been a strong and resilient people, and may it forever be so. So kudos to the Four Seasons, fully booked, and a great opportunity for our taxi drivers, for our restaurants, for our farmers, our fisher folk, our lobster divers, our conch divers, and all of those who are making $1 from tourism. This is what we are seeking to do, to ensure that tourism, which we say is everybody's business, provides a payday to as many people as possible. And I thank the Four Seasons and congratulate them. This, I believe, might be the 4th or 5th time for the season that they're sold out. Let me move as we talk about resilience and speak to a gentleman who I'm told is 80 years old. 80 years old. Fourscore. And that gentleman is Mr. Frankie Daniel. They tell me that at 80 years old, Mr. Daniel is still plying his trade as a fisherman. 80 years old. That's his trade. That's what he loves to do. He finds comfort and joy on the ocean. And by being a fisherman, he is helping to feed his family, but also helping to feed us. Several weeks ago, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers reached out and said to me and to the colleagues in the cabinet that it had come to his attention that Mr. Daniel's boat had been stolen and that thieves had somehow broken into his shed and taken his engine as well. There was naturally an alarm and an outcry in the community, and his children and others took to social media asking for assistance from anyone who could bring these dastardly perpetrators to justice. Whilst, so far as I know, we have not apprehended anyone as yet, the boat was later returned, minus the engine. Now we all know that a boat without the engine would mean that it is not possible for Mr. Daniel to resume his trade. And we also know that engines are very expensive. And I want to say a word about the Honorable Alexis Jeffers. Everybody knows that Alexis Jeffers, who's the deputy leader of the Concerned Citizens Movement, the party that I'm privileged to lead, that he entered politics somewhere in the mid-2000s, 2004, 2005 or thereabouts. He would have contested his very first election, a federal election in 2010, which he lost. He then contested a local election for the St. James seat in 2011, which he won. He won it again in 2013. He contested a federal election in 2015. Again, he lost. But he came back in the federal election of 2020 and he won. And he won again in the federal election of 2022. In the meantime, in 2017, he would have gone back to the people of St. James and they again would have voted to send him to government. He was, from 2017 until 2022, the Deputy Premier of the island of Nevis. In December of 2022, the good people of St. James decided that they wanted to move in a different direction and they elected someone else. And Alexis Jeffers lost that seat by a mere 8 votes. Now, having consistently won that seat and having, I believe, served the people of St. James and the people of the island of Nevis well, one could naturally understand the level of shock, disappointment, dismay perhaps, that the Honorable Alexis Jeffers must have felt. I was not the one to lose the seat, but I felt it almost as if I had done so, because this was a man who had performed. I have said with no fear of contradiction that his DNA is on every aspect of development in St. James and throughout the island of Nevis. If you have a house in Madden's development, now the largest house in development on the island of Nevis, Alexis Jeffers was the author of that project. If you drive by and you see the Newcastle Police and Fire Station, and you recall the run-down, ramshackle building that used to be there, and what it has been replaced with, and what now stands to serve the people of St. James, the people of Newcastle. The author of that was Alexis Jeffers. If you use the water taxi facility, as many of us do, some of us walk on that pier, we go into the beautiful air-conditioned waiting area, reception area, and we don't bother to think where it came from. But again, Alexis Jeffers was the author. Roads in Butlers, Shaw's Road, and all across the constituency, housing up in Newcastle, Alexis Jeffers was the author. The playing field at VOJN, many people go there and enjoy themselves and have cricket and have fun. Alexis Jeffers was the author. I say all that to say that it wasn't for a lack of projects or performance, but democracy is what it is, and the voice of the people is the voice of God. And the people of St. James, in their wisdom, decided that someone else should represent them in the parliament at the local level. Now, as I said, I could well understand the frustration, the disappointment. And one might have expected that someone who felt so disappointed would have turned away from the people of St. James. And the reason why I am speaking the way I'm speaking tonight is because Alexis Jeffers was the one who sprang into action in relation to this dastardly deed of theft that impacted Mr. Daniel and his family. He was the one who reached out. He was the one who said, "Premier, something must be done to help Mr. Daniel, because he's a stalwart in the fishing industry here on the island." I want to move now from Alexis Jeffers and move to Eric Evelyn, because he is the Deputy Premier and the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries. And Mr. Evelyn would have immediately come to the Cabinet and said, "Cabinet colleagues, we need to assist Mr. Daniel. He needs to go back to his profession. He needs to get back to sea. That is what he loves. And at 80 years old, we must come to his aid." And as a result of his advocacy, the Cabinet decided that we would present to Mr. Daniel a brand new engine so that he could go back to sea and back to what he loves. It took us some time to get the engine, but I was delighted that the Honorable Eric Evelyn was able to go and make a presentation of that brand new engine as a gift from the government, as the representative of all the people of Nevis, to Mr. Daniel, so that he could get back to sea. Now, I was so humbled when 2 days ago, I think it was, one of Mr. Daniel's children sent me a video. And the video was of the first time since this theft that Mr. Daniel was back at sea with his boat that had been refurbished and a brand new engine, courtesy of the government and people of Nevis. And when I saw it and I heard the gratitude that was expressed by his daughter, I said, you know, in every sense, this is what Nevis is about. This is what Nevis should always be about. helping each other, being there for each other, ensuring that you have people who are in government who care about people, because it is caring about people that caused Alexis Jeffers to be so agitated and to say to us, something has to be done. It is caring about people that caused the Honorable Eric Evelyn to bring this matter to the cabinet and say, colleagues, this has to be done. And it is caring about people that cause me as the head of cabinet and my colleagues in cabinet to say, yes, this has to be done. And as a result of that, Mr. Daniel is back at sea. All that we can say, brothers and sisters, is praise be to God. Praise be to God. But I find it interesting that many would have thought, well, Alexis is no longer the representative, so somebody else should be the one making representation on behalf of the people of St. James. Someone else should be the one agitating for the benefit of the people of St. James. But I'm here tonight to say that the only voice I heard from St. James and the only person who agitated and kept calling was the Honorable Alexis Jeffers. And I can say so because it is true and it is so. That I got no call or indication from anyone else. He was the one who said, colleagues, something has to be done. And I like to say, as the old people here say, we must give Jack his jacket. Because had he not come, had he not raised that issue almost immediately as Mr. Daniel suffered this tragic loss, we may well not have known of the difficulty and may not have been in a position to respond to the difficulty. But when you love people, when you are serving people, it matters little whether you're inside or outside the government. You are interested in people. And Alexis Jeffers understood that Mr. Daniel, at 80 years old, this was his life. This is what he loves to do. And since some cowardly thief had tried to rob him of that opportunity, Alexis Jeffers said, let us help him. Eric Evelyn took up the charge, and the rest of cabinet said yes. And when I saw that video of Mr. Frankie Daniel back at sea, to me it is a time for joy and celebration, not just of us in government, not just of us in CCM, but for all divisions. Because I think that is what we need. That is what we must demonstrate. When people look on, they must say, wow, that's an island, that's a people who take care of each other, who rise to the occasion to help each other. And so, Mr. Daniel, if you're listening tonight, it was our honor, sir, to value you enough, to be interested in you enough, to love you enough, to present you with that new engine on behalf of all of the people of Nevis. And to hope that you continue to ply your trade for as long as God will allow you, and that you continue to be happy doing what you do and doing what you love. I believe that that story of Mr. Daniel that started out badly, started out with a cowardly thief trying to deprive him of his livelihood, that it has turned into a quintessential Nivision story of hope, of triumph, of redemption, of love, because that is what we are about on this island. The CCM as a party has said that the cornerstone, the foundation of what we do, the ethos, is that our people must be at the epicenter. And we have demonstrated it time and time again that our people matter most. Whether it's our youngsters getting assistance from the government to go off to study. I believe it was just last week in the cabinet that we approved perhaps another 30 or so youngsters, some form of financial assistance to help them to go off and study. That is an annual matter. In fact, based on my tally, we have so far financed well over 150 students from Nevis. Some measure of assistance to help them to get that education. You do that because you love people. And you recognize that people must be at the center of our development. When in the heart of COVID, we responded by financing in a substantial way our agricultural sector, giving our people free fencing wire, free seeds, free seedlings, free fertilizer, free land preparation. The fishermen got a roll of fish pot wire for free and additional rolls at 50% discount. We empowered our people because we knew that we needed to do more to feed ourselves. Those who are using the technology of shade house technology, they got free shade houses. Again, that was engineered by Alexis Jeffers. He was the Minister of Agriculture at the time. And all of that was done because we love people and we recognize that people must be at the center of what we do. We did not stop there. We went to the government of Taiwan, our brothers and sisters in Taiwan. We said, could you make available to us $5 million? And they said, what do you want that money for? And we said, we have designed a program to assist women and youth who want to be entrepreneurs, who want to expand their little business, to provide them with some seed capital of up to $100,000 at 3% interest, the lowest interest rate in the Federation. We recognize that these young people and many of these women, many of whom are single mothers, were not bankable. No bank on Main Street would lend them anything because the banks on Main Street want land and property as collateral. They want them to get life insurance. They want them to do this, that, and the other, and the tara. And we know that many would simply not qualify. We said, come to us. We shall put something in place to stimulate the small business community. And whilst we recognize that 100,000 EC dollars is not that vast sum of money, for many small and micro businesses, it was enough for them to get a start, to buy the initial stock, to get that little van to run their business, to buy some fryers or some refrigerators, to buy some hair dryers or some nail tech machinery. We did that because we love people and we recognize that people must be at the epicenter of what we do. Look around this island of Nevis and look at our public sector. You see young people, particularly young women, being elevated by this government, put in positions of authority where they are making decisions and bringing their considerable vim, vigor, vitality, and intellect to bear on our development. You have some who tell young people, stay back. Wait your turn, wait your time. Practice, practice, learn how to drive. You have some who attack the young doctors at the hospital, say they don't know what they're doing, and they're practicing medicine by Google. Not the CCM. Not Mark Brantley in government. Not Eric Evelyn and Spencer Brand and Troy Liburd and Janelle Nisbet in government. The CCM in government says to our youth, you are not just our future, you are our present. And we must not wait until some indeterminable time in the future to invite you to make your contribution. You must make it now and help build and grow this island of Nevis. We do that because we love people and we recognize that our people must be at the epicenter of what we do. When we say people matter most, it's not just talk. You see it, and I'm laying out some examples of where you see it. There was a time when a sitting government, not ours to be sure, said to the young engineers and professionals at Public Works, you are not good enough to do any roads in Nevis. And every major road work that was done in Nevis was contracted out to a foreign company. Whilst our young professionals sat looking on, not able to bring their training at university, not able to bring their ideas and their considerable intellect to bear in their own country, they were told, you are not good enough. I remember no less a man than the former Premier, Joseph Walcott Parry, said in response to a question as to why our own people were not being given a chance in their own country. He said, I gave them a road in brown pasture. Let them go up there to practice, learn how to drive. Because when these young people come home from university, they don't know what they're doing. That was the NRP's response to the young people of Nevis. Let me drink a little water. That was their response. This CCM said, no. No. We must put our people first. And our young men and women who have sacrificed, who have gone away, who have studied, they've come home. Let us unleash their considerable talent to help build Nevis. And so what did we do? And here's the stark contrast. We invested in our people in Public Works. We bought a brand new paver. We bought a brand new milling machine. We bought rolling machine. We upgraded our asphalt plant. We sent our young people away for training. In fact, 2 youngsters have just come back from Kentucky in the US. They went to learn some of the finest skills of asphalting. You know what that investment has now led to, ladies and gentlemen? It has led to the new reality that these young men and women, young professionals, And the equipment that we have invested in has been requested by our sister Sinkits. Are you please come and help us with our roads in Sinkits? I hope you all hearing me and understanding what I'm saying, you know. I hope you all are hearing me and understanding what I'm saying. That our equipment, that investment we made in equipment on the island of Nevis, CCM-led government, and the investment that we have made in training our people is not only now paying dividends for the island of Nevis, but if you are driving up in St. Peter's and St. Kitts, you're driving on roads that are being done with the assistance of the island and the people of Nevis. Going over to help our brothers and sisters on St. Kitts with our equipment and our manpower and our expertise. When a previous government tell them stay in the back, practice, learn how to drive, you don't know what you're doing. We have said to them, you are in the vision. Well, if you can't be given a chance in your own country, where else you going to get a chance? We expect Jamaica to give you a chance? Trinidad? We expect President Trump to give you a chance? When your own country refuses to give you a chance, we said no. And look where we have come to. And just by that decision that we took as a policy to invest in equipment, invest in people, that we are now at a point where we're not only fixing roads to a professional standard on Nevis, we're lending our manpower and our equipment to fix roads in St. Kitts. I want to take that as my cue to thank the Honorable Spencer Brand. He's not a noisy fellow. He's not given to touting his own horn, or tooting, I think is the correct word, his own horn. Touting his abilities and his many successes on the island of Nevis. But you see that fellow Spencer Brand? His DNA is all over the island of Nevis. And now I say it this way, without seeking to cause any offense, his DNA is also on St. Kitts. Because it is the equipment that he came to the cabinet and said, this is equipment we must buy. And the manpower that he has insisted must be trained and developed. That is now over in St. Kitts assisting our brothers and sisters over there. So that they too can have the standard of roads that we have in Nevis. I feel proud about it. And I'm saying to the Honorable Spencer Brand, take a bow. Because you have had the vision, you have had the tenacity, even where resources have been scarce. He has made the case, bought a brand new paver, brought a brand new milling machine, brought new rollers, I think they're called, sent fellas away to be trained, brought in a new asphalt plant, redeveloped. Even after a fire we had over there, the asphalt plant. And when maybe others did not see the vision, he saw the vision. And he persuaded the cabinet. You know what, how hard it is in our cabinet when a man come and he say, you want $1 million US for something? And that was like pulling teeth. But he persuaded us. You know why? We love people. And we believe that our people should be at the epicenter of what we do. That's what people matter most means. Not just a slogan, but a way of life, a way of governing. That is what we have done. But it didn't stop there. And I'm going to stick with Spencer Brand for a moment. Because in water, we have trained and developed and invested in our people at the water department. invested in machinery to the point where we are also now lending equipment and manpower to our brothers and sisters at the water department in St. Kitts to assist them to get their water system up to the level that they want it to be. I wonder if the people of Nevis really understand what I'm saying to them tonight. I wonder if we understand what I'm saying. That we are sending equipment and manpower from the Nevis Water Department to assist our brothers and sisters in St. Kitts. We have something called a butt fusion machine. We have introduced a new technology in Nevis of the polyurethane pipes. We have done a massive project here of upgrading the water infrastructure distribution network. A massive project in installing new water storage tanks across the island. And the third component of that project is now finding more water through a combination of drilling and desalination. In fact, many divisions may not even know that they are currently consuming desalinated water because the desalination plant gifted to us by the government of the United Arab Emirates is already commissioned and putting water into our system. Spencer Brand, Honorable Spencer Brand, working. You turn on your tap now, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, water busting the pipe. It wasn't always so. And we ought not to just take these things for granted because it required work, it required dedication, it required perseverance, it required an investment in people. That we have got to a point now where our technicians at the water department are taking up machinery and going over to our brothers and sisters in St. Kitts and helping them. Using the expertise and the skills that they have acquired, using the equipment that we've developed and purchased. The reason you have water in your pipe 24/7 with more on the way is, again, ladies and gentlemen, because we love people. And what we do for people. And our people are at the epicenter of all that we do. That's what people matter most means. You see all the things that I've mentioned? I could go on and speak for another hour just on what we have sought to do to empower our people. That's how we govern, and you could only govern that way when you love people. So when you hear all the noise and the rah-rah and the roar, they cannot deny any of the facts that I've put on this table tonight. And I want to commend the team. When you look at what is happening in education, we're just coming out of the sports season. Can anyone out there with any credibility say that the inter-primary was not a resounding success? Charlestown Primary School and the Ivor Walters Primary School, neck and neck, it came down to the final race of that entire meet to determine the champions. Resounding success. Our student athletes running now on a proper IAAF certified surface, the Mondo track. I wonder if our people remember that those youngsters used to run on grass and dirt up at the ETW park. Some used to run barefoot on the grass and on the dirt. And there were some who felt that that was an acceptable standard for the youth of Nevis. We said no. No. And we invested money to build that Mondo track. I wonder if you all remember the criticisms that were leveled at us. Oh, we put in the track by the dump. Oh, the flies them gonna kill people out there. Oh, this, oh, that, oh, the other. But look at how our student athletes are now performing. Look at how many of them have now come through, got track scholarships, and are making their way in the world. That Mondo track and the strides that have been made under the leadership of the Honorable Troy Liebert in sport and in education, again, is an indication by way of clear evidence of our love for people. Because when you love people, you invest in them. When you love people, you make a way for them. The ethos of putting people at the center of what we do. I want to switch to the last member and the newest member of the cabinet, the Honorable Janet Elizabeth. She's the baby of the group. She's young, she's female. And look at what she's been doing in health. When we invested in the mammogram machines at the hospital, it was she and her team who came and said, we must offer free screening to the women of Nevis. And 399 women were screened for free over the period of time that we had a free screening. And then as we celebrated recently, I think it was Women's Month, I hope I'm right on that, she came back to the cabinet and said, listen, as part of that, let us offer free screening again. And I'm told it is some 49 women who were screened during that week of the free screening. We have seen a considerable level of work by Health Promotion Unit. We have seen a considerable level of work by those in gender, those in social services, those in the seniors division. What do all those ministries and all that work, what are they concerned with? Let me answer it for you. People. People. We take care of divisions from the cradle to the grave. We take care of people because you have to love people to be in politics. You have to love people to want to serve. And what you have here is a demonstration of our love of our people and our efforts to serve them to the best of our ability. Now, I will be the first, as the leader of the team, to say to you that we do not always get everything right. Well, good God, we are not perfect. But look at all that I've outlined. And you realize in my outlining I have not yet mentioned myself or the ministries that I am responsible for. So if I can take a moment now to just point out one thing that we have done, which for many has gone unnoticed, but I want to speak to it because tomorrow we go into the National Parliament in St. Kitts to debate a bill dealing with pensions for what they call the government auxiliary employees. In Nevis we call them the non-established or any workers. There were people in this island, ladies and gentlemen, who worked for the government for 40 and in many cases 45 years. But because they didn't have the requisite subjects, they were never appointed to the civil service. They were referred to in Nevis as non-established workers. And many governments have come and gone, all of who claimed that they would do something for the NE workers. I am proud to say that under my leadership, We moved it from talk to reality. I put together a team. I said, team, come up with something. Team was headed by P.S. Wakely Daniel. I want to thank all of them who were there. My good friend Rockers, Gary Libert, Scooby Barrett, the other prominent secretaries who were part of that team. I said, come up with a formula. Come up with something. I want to be able to make it a mark of distinction, pride, that any worker having served for that period of time should ever again leave the service with their two long hands, because that's what used to happen. Imagine we had people in Nevis who worked for 40 years and went home with their two long hands. Somebody at some point tell them thank you, and they went home in the winter of their years with nothing, no comfort, no pension, nothing. And I consider it one of my proudest moments that I was able to persuade my cabinet colleagues to put in place a retirement package for our non-established workers. We have workers in Nevis now who are leaving the service at 62, having done 30, 40 years, who are getting a lump sum of money in their hand, $90,000, $100,000, and then getting something every month, which in addition to what they get from Social Security, what we are saying is that these people should have some degree of comfort in the winter of their years. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't make those decisions, and you don't get to that point unless you love people, unless people are at the epicenter of your programming, of your development strategy. And it just cost us millions of dollars. But whether you're a tractor driver at agriculture, you are somebody who labored in the fields at agriculture, you have worked at the hospital as a maid or as a housekeeper. As a government, I stood up and I said, no longer should you go home with your two long hands empty to try and wonder how you're going to feed yourself when you're 65 and 70, understanding that the little Social Security money, and God bless Social Security, it was not always enough. We took a decision rooted in our core principle that our people matter most, and we said they must go home with something. Some argued and said, well, they haven't paid into anything. I said they must go home with something. They have served, and they must go home with something. Whatever that something is, they must have something to sustain them in the winter of their years. And praise be to God, the cabinet agreed. And we now have at work in Nevis an any workers' pension scheme. We will see how the legislation in Singit goes, and we will seek now to legislate and formalize that. But it has been put in place. You know, some of us can't say thank you, even for good things. So a good friend of mine, who is a staunch supporter of the opposition, called me up and she said, oh, me done retire, I mean I get all my money yet. Why you hold up my money for me, I get all my money yet? And I said to her, please be patient with us. Because what was, you couldn't call me and say you didn't get all your money, because you would have got no money at all. So please be patient with us. I now know she got all her money, 60-something thousand, because she stopped calling. And she will get, like everyone else, a little something every month. And we are hopeful that that little something, added to what you get from Social Security, will allow you to navigate those years with some dignity. People matter most. Let's open the lines and take some calls. 469-1616, 469-1700. Those are the numbers to call if you want to be a part of the show. And the lines are now open. We have 55 minutes left, and we take your first call and say, good evening, you are on the mark.
Good evening, Michelle.
Good evening, my dear.
How are you tonight?
I am doing well, and good to hear your voice.
Proverbs 27, verse 1 and 2. Boast not thyself for tomorrow, for thou knowest what the day may bring forth. Let another man praise thee, and not thine own mouth. A stranger is not thine own lips. Have a good evening. May God continue to bless all of us. Good night.
Thank you so very much for that beautiful scripture. We're taking your calls. 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. Those are the numbers to call, and I have been speaking for a while, so I'm hopeful I can rest my voice now and allow you, the public, to call in and to take up the next hour. So let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello? Hello? Okay, caller, I apologize. It looks like we don't have that caller. We're inviting you to call. 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. And we're hoping that the phones will ring. It does seem that that line is tied up somehow. I'm not sure if anybody's on it, but if not, then we're hoping that others may call and we may get that line free so that it can be freed up for others to call in and be a part of the show. We are taking your calls. This is the time now when you have an opportunity to ring in and to state your views and opinions as to what may be on your mind. Let's take this call, therefore, and say, good evening, you're on the mark. Hello? Okay. Hello, caller?
The mark.
Yes, go ahead, you're on the mark.
What's your right?
Could you speak up, caller? I'm not hearing you well.
Yeah.
Hello?
One answer question.
Caller, I'm not hearing you well. I know you could talk harder than that. Talk hard.
Hey, what's your right? That's a plastic bag ban. And so how come they don't sell plastic in the bread?
That's not the bag that has been banned yet. The bag that has been banned is the shopping bags. Yeah? So they're going to get to that, but they ain't reach there yet.
So when they buy bread, a shopping bag?
No, that's not a shopping bag. The shopping bag is what they call a t-shirt bag. That's the bag. So, you know, when you go to the supermarket, they used to give you some bags to carry your groceries in. That's the bag that has been banned at the moment.
Because they must have plastic bag.
Yes, the rest plastic bags will be banned in time, but not yet. Okay? You got me?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I don't like that.
You don't like that? What is it you would like to see instead? Tell me.
All right. Hey, what's that? I want to say good night to Weber.
Mm-hmm. Yes?
Yeah.
He listening you?
Man, maybe he doesn't listen here, right?
Okay. So you're saying good night to him?
All right. Good night.
Okay, my brother. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we're taking your calls. 869-469-1616 and 1700. Let's go straight back to the phones. Good evening. You're on the mark.
Good evening, Mr. Brantley.
Good evening to you.
This is Charmaine Daniel Hanley.
Hey, Charmaine. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
How are you?
I am well. Good to hear your voice.
Okay. I'm the daughter of Franklin Daniel. I just want to say a huge thank you on his behalf to the Cabinet of the Nevis Island Administration for the timely and generous donation of a Yamaha engine. To Alexis Jeffers, as you mentioned before, thank you for taking the initiative of approaching the NIA to help my dad. I want to say here, Mr. Premier, when my dad's boat and engine were stolen in January, he took it really, really hard, as he had only had the engine for 3 months prior And there was no, I mean absolutely no way or means my father could have afforded a new engine to continue doing what he loves. To Mr. Donald Bartlett of Don's Marine LLC, this is someone I know personally.
Good division, yes.
Very good. He's my husband's cousin.
Okay.
For his timely donation of that radio system. This, of course, will definitely enhance Daddy's operation. It would also make him safer at sea. Thank you, Donald. To the Newcastle Fishers Foundation for a donation of EC $2,000, I say thank you. All other citizens, family members, and friends, thank you for your prayers. They were so, I mean, the outpour was just, I can't even explain, but I just humbly say thank you to everybody. Thank you. Daddy's trade is now operational once again. Praise and thanks to God Almighty. Good night, Mr. Premier.
Thank you very, very much. I sincerely appreciate your call, because that to me is what we are seeking to do, to touch people, to help people, and to ensure that people like Mr. Daniel are back doing what they love. So thank you, Charmin, for your call. Very heartwarming to hear from you, and kudos to the entire Daniel family, and kudos of course to Mr. Daniel and all that he's doing at 80 years old. Simply phenomenal. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, Honorable Brantley.
Good evening to you.
And how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
Okay. My scripture for tonight is Psalm 123. I'm reading.
We're not hearing you so well. Can you keep your voice up, please?
Okay, I will turn up my volume. Hold on, please. Yes, this should be better now. Unto thee lift I up mine eyes, O thou that dwellest in the heavens. Behold, as the eyes of the servants look unto the hand of their masters, and as the eyes of a maiden unto the hand of her mistress, so our eyes wait upon the Lord our God, until that he have mercy upon us. Have mercy upon us, O Lord, have mercy upon us, for we are exceedingly filled with contempt. Our soul is exceedingly filled with the scorning of those that are at ease, and with the contempt of the proud. Here endeth the reading of the scripture. May the Lord add his richest blessing unto it. Have a good night and a blessed evening. A blessed Easter when it comes around. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you very much, caller. Certainly appreciate you and appreciate your scripture, and have a blessed Easter yourself.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We're taking your calls, ladies and gentlemen. 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. Those are the numbers to call if you would like to be a part of this show this evening. And we have been having a good discussion, discussing various matters impacting this island. And now, of course, it's your opportunity to call in and to share your views and opinions. We have about 45 minutes left of this show, and so we certainly invite those who have something to say to call in and to say it. We have been talking and really putting the evidence on the table and prosecuting the case with hard evidence to demonstrate how we as a government have taken care of our people, from our students going off to study, to our elderly, to our non-established workers, to our youth athletes, to our children in school, to creating jobs in this economy, to building out our infrastructure in terms of roads, water, electricity, to training our people to the point where our people are now being made available to our sisters and brothers in St. Kitts to help them build out their infrastructure in roads and water. I believe that the people of Nevis should feel proud. whatever your political persuasion may be, as an Nigerian, you should feel proud, whether you're at home or you're abroad, to see what we have been able to accomplish thus far with the grace of God and the dedication of leadership that puts people first. That to me cannot be overstated. The significance of anchoring development on the premise that our people must be at its epicenter. That's what has motivated us. Healthcare, investment in new equipment, investment in new ambulances, even the investment in the new hospital wing, delayed as it has been. It's a demonstration of our love of, interest in, and commitment to the people of Nevis. Let's go back to the phones and continue to take your calls. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening to you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
There's a few things we really want to touch on. The first of all is we're getting into close to the end of the program with the assistance. And I would like to say to Marcus Natter, the Honorable Marcus Natter, that it's time that we continue the program for 6 months, but we drop all out of the program who are working for over the minimum wage. And the assistance continue for all minimum wage for the next 6 months.
Which assistance you're talking about, caller? Let's be clear.
So to buy food and things and so every
Well, you're talking about the $250?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that anybody who getting over $4,000 or $5,000 a month should not be in that program. It should be left for minimum wages and pensioners who are something left out. But to get $5,000 a month and still taking that $250, I think is unconscionable. Because you cannot tell me what a minimum wages get. It cannot be compared to a man getting $5,000 a month, Marcus Natter. That is what you're doing. You're milking the cow.
But why you wait, caller, I don't mean to interrupt, yeah. But why are you singling out Marcus? Marcus Natter does not make policy.
Because he's the head of that committee. He's the head of that committee.
Yeah, but he doesn't make the policy call. It's not fair. He might be the head of the committee, but
he could reject it on the moral grounds that that it should not be go up there. And when you're leading, you must lead. It's not a policy.
But would you agree that Mr. Natter, as the head of the committee, can only function within the remit given to him by those who are making the decisions? That's the government.
But what about our moral conscience? We don't guide.
Yeah,
it's not a guide.
Yeah, but even you bring morality in, and morality is important. I'm just trying to say that to single out Dr. Natter, you must speak to the cabinet, because it is a cabinet that gives direction. He can only function within the realm of the directions that he's given.
Who brought the program to the public?
The Prime Minister.
But I heard him on one radio explaining the whole program, Marcus Natter.
But caller, but you're missing the point, because Mr. Natter explains the program doesn't mean that Mr. Natter is Mr. Natter's brainchild. I as the head of government in charge of Nevlec, I order a new engine for Nevlec. The general manager at Nevlec explain what the engine is supposed to do. But, I'm just saying that it is a cabinet ultimately, if you want to make an appeal, that you must make the appeal too, not to Mr. Natter. Mr. Natter doesn't have the power to change a policy. He can only come forward and work within the framework that the government and the cabinet has asked him to work in. That's all I'm saying.
I know Mr. Natter, and he's a friend of mine, and I want to talk to him on a personal thing, on a personal business, so that you should advocate for the dropping of everybody above the minimum wage out of that assistance, and let it last for the rest of 6 months. Persons for minimum wage. That is my plug on that.
Okay, I got you.
The next issue is that.
So wait, caller, before you go on. So what would be your cutoff? You say minimum wage? Let me ask you a question. What if I have 3 people in the household, all of them at minimum wage?
Yeah, they get the assistance.
They should get it. Okay, got you.
Yeah.
All right.
And the next issue is that we continuously hear about the immoral behavior of the Israeli, bombing hospital, bombing medical wing, the United Nations cry out, and yet still we have not taken a moral position of cutting from that form of thing. There are consequences for such actions when we support that. Every time we hear that there's a bomb in a hospital or an ambulance or some kind of rescue, and we continue to have diplomatic relationship with Israel, we have blood, the blood of those innocent people on our hands too, because we are supporting the actions of the Israeli. And it is time for us, Mr. Joe, to make a moral, and the Minister of Foreign to make a moral stand against this injustice, this genocide, this slaughter. Even in Sudan, our voice is too silent. All we care about what is money, economy. We have no moral voice in the world. And even we use our voice in economics, we'll be shut down easily. There is a moral standing. Last, there is a moral compass, there is a moral bearing with the slaughtered life. We say we believe in God, but we let people kill off people and say we believe in God. Them two things don't go together. They don't.
And so you think cutting
I really want to condemn our foreign policy for the silence in all this slaughter. You're saying something?
I'm asking you if you think cutting diplomatic ties would be a sufficient statement as far as you're concerned.
That is within our realms. It is in our realms. We don't have economic, we don't have military power, but in our realms to show moral support for the innocent lives, the over 40,000 innocent lives that was slaughtered and continue to be slaughtered, regardless of the cause for the United Nations, from the Security Council, and from people with conscience.
Can I
slaughter continue? Men and children.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Hamas went into Israel and killed, I think they said it was about 1,200 people, kidnapped some individuals. Do you also condemn that?
This conflict start with Hamas? Did it start there?
I'm not asking where it started. I've asked
I'm returning the question. No, it did not start with Hamas going in on the
but I'm not asking. Caller.
It started long before.
Caller, whenever it started, I'm asking you a specific question. Hamas went into Israel and killed over 1,200 people and kidnapped others. I believe the people were attending some kind of concert. Do you also condemn that? You and I are agreed that we must condemn the killing of over 40,000 Palestinians. Do you also condemn the killing by Hamas of over 1,200 Israelis?
Not after what I see. I was condemning before when I know. What I see the Israelis are doing, I'm thinking of Hitler. Because I say Hitler must have made a mistake, because the wickedness that they're doing to these people, it is unconscionable. You don't watch the TV? You don't see people living in dirt? We don't have no conscience?
So you have conscience for the Palestinians that are being killed, but none for the Israelis that were killed. Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say that.
What are you saying?
I said I changed my mind after see what was happening. What has happened since.
So you change your mind. So
the slaughter of the Palestinians made me change my mind.
So the killing of the Israelis, then, in your view, is no longer unconscionable.
No, not after you see what happened after that.
Okay. All right, caller.
40,000 innocent people, women and men and children slaughtered like that.
Yes.
And we won't say that no, we could justify that with Hamas killing 1,400 people.
Okay. Well,
that is justified.
I wasn't asking for justification. I was simply saying that if you say you have morality, and if you say you are appealing to humanity, then you must condemn wrong wherever it occurs. You mustn't condemn killing because it's Palestinians who are being killed, but not condemn it when Israelis are being killed. All killing is killing.
I say I didn't condemn. I condemn.
You say you change your mind.
I see what's happening now.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I refuse to continue to condemn it.
Okay. So you say you refuse to condemn it, you can kill it, but 1,200 innocent people die the same way. All I'm saying is, if you're going to take a moral high ground as you're claiming to take...
Look at the response.
But Carla, whatever the response is doesn't change the morality. If you are condemning wrong, then wrong is wrong. You must condemn it across the board. That's the problem in the world, you know.
The response, because it did not start in October.
Yes.
We cannot just say we can condemn. We go back to when 1967.
Okay.
When they slaughter and zombie people them out of the house.
Caller,
more than that,
I think
more than 1,400 people get killed in 1967 get slaughtered.
Caller, I
and out the house.
I think I would want
go back to them.
Yes.
We the condemnation of that.
Caller.
Europe is silent.
Caller.
You want to condemn. Let me finish one thing.
Yes.
You want to condemn. I mean, the Russian man for hitting a place in Ukraine this week. And when the news comes from Gaza about the hospital, everybody in Europe silent. That is what do you want to say? It's justifiable?
No, caller. I am not suggesting that it's justifiable. In fact, I think it is abhorrent. I believe that we all, anybody of conscience, must condemn it. But we ought not to only be willing to condemn atrocities when it's committed against one set of people.
You see that? Initially I condemn it, but after what has happened now, and the unconscionable distribution of arms from America to Israel to kill off them.
Yes, so you stop condemning it.
Kind of way.
Right. So you're saying you had some condemnation, but you are no longer condemning because of the response. That's what you're saying.
The response.
Okay.
The response is
all right.
Quite disproportionate.
Okay. You have any other points for me tonight?
Yeah. I think that it's time that we give more investment into the youth and agriculture. Tie the youth in agriculture. You know that the violence is done. We need to set up a program to put each one of these youth to help them manage themselves and get more income to food security. If we invest in security, we have the youth them to crop. We have listed 50 crops in doing a program, a plan here. 50 crops that we could grow locally. And if you give the youth them 50 crops to grow in 3 different areas, 3 different times of the year, we could help tackle the 20 by 25 bill, and we could reduce our import bill by over $40 million every year. Because we could be grow a lot of those things here in this country, and the money go to the youth them to develop them, give them housing, give them money in the pocket, and invest in other businesses when you go to them. The 40 million we could save every year. But we're not serious in investing in the youth and investing in agriculture. And our next crisis will come after COVID and left us is more insecure in come to food security. Because we lack, in Timothy Harris' time, we lack to invest even $100 million in food security. He squandered so much money, and then we got clown like big lies them couldn't talk about. He's singing Calypso and not telling about things ain't going good. He forget about the wickedness of what Timothy Harris and he squandered Timothy Harris talk about Dr. Joe. Things ain't going good. I mean, these people just need a shake-up. Give thanks, no?
All right. Well, thank you for your views, and I certainly appreciate it. I allowed you to have your opportunity. You're a regular caller to the show. Always a little controversial, but I love to hear your views, and sometimes I try to shake you with an alternative position, but you stand firm, and I like that. What I will say, however, caller, is that we have a lot of moral equivocating, where we condemn wrong today and we don't condemn it tomorrow. I think you have always argued for a moral high ground. Much of what you call in about is for us taking a moral high ground. I think if we are to take a moral high ground, we can say that what Hamas did in October, going into Israel and slaughtering innocent people, that must deserve our unreserved condemnation. What Israel has done in terms of its response is equally deserving of our condemnation. If you're going to take a moral high ground, you can't condemn Israel and not condemn Hamas. You must condemn both, and that is the only point that I've been trying to get over. That I agree with you that the response has been disproportionate. But the response did not happen in isolation, and so we have to condemn both. And that's just my humble opinion. It is 9:30 o'clock. Let us go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hello, Mr. Mark. Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Yeah, I'm calling this evening concerning my son. My son, he has been in prison now, awaiting trial, without a trial date almost 2 years. If you talk about the prison system, how they do the thing, he already spent 2 years. He been locked up since 2023 August. This is another August, and they're going for 2 years, and we just cannot get a trial date. I've been going up for bail now, going for 2 years. Till and bail, you know, Mr. Mark, at 20, bail should be at 24 hours. At 2 days. You could get it in 24 hours, 2 days, and I'm waiting now 2 years for bail with the system we have here. And these officers, these investigating officers know what they're doing, you know. They know what they're doing, because up to when they keep the youths them in prison this long without a trial, up to when a trial comes, guilty or not, to them, they already spend the time. So even they're not guilty now, even the guilty, they already spend the time. And this has been going on for years. This is the system we have here in St. Kitts Nevis for years. I'm not the only parent who have children in prison just waiting a date for trial and cannot get a trial date. Cannot get a date for trial. And my son has been behind bars now going from since August 2023. He have a mother, he have a father, he have sisters, he have a child. But who cares? Who cares? The system has failed the youth, and I say the parents fail the youth, the system also fail the youth. Because when you're sitting down waiting on a trial and just cannot get a date to prove you're innocent, to prove your case, what happened?
Can I ask you something, caller? First of all, let me say that I'm sorry to hear what you're saying. But I'm a little curious. Why has a date not been set? What is it that you're being told?
Every time we go to trial,
well, not to trial. You're going for a date. You're going to court.
Every time I go up for bail,
yes.
They decided my son, well, the judge denied bail because bail has been adjourned. When it ain't adjourned, they deny bail because of the seriousness of the case. Because they're keeping him in custody because he gone. The word what them I use, right? To us. Sometimes you have to go look them to know what they mean, you know, Mr. Brantley.
But does your son have a lawyer?
Yes, my son have a lawyer.
So the lawyer should be able to explain to you what is happening and why it is happening. You see, I don't want to get into because I don't know the details.
The lawyers, them is they inaccessible when you're paying them your money. These lawyers is inaccessible when you're paying them your money.
So you're saying that you're paying for a lawyer, but you're not having access to the lawyer. Is that
I
what you
didn't say that?
Well, you say they're inaccessible when you're paying them your money, so I'm trying to understand what you mean.
When my son case in adjourned, they're not finished with the investigation. Mr. Brantley, you was a liar. You're going to take 2 years. 2 years. And you got people in prison who have more years than my son just waiting on a date. Just waiting on a trial date. Give him his day in court. Give him his day in court. That's all we asking for.
Okay. Well, caller, I entirely agree with you that I think that people should be given their day in court. I do not believe that the system should have people locked up awaiting trial.
I remember what they've been saying too. He's a risk and obstruction of the course of justice.
So it sounds to me like they feel that your son is going to create problems if he is released on bail. That seems to be the position.
Well, that seems to be the idea I get as well.
Right.
But one me I said 2 years.
Okay. Well, there are two separate questions. The one is, of course, whether or not he is entitled to bail, and there are certain rules that apply in relation to that. If he has gone to court seeking bail and bail has been denied, it means that the court is satisfied that there is evidence that he will create problems if he's allowed out. That's question one. Question two is the one that I'm agreeing with you on, and that has to do with setting a date. I agree with you, innocent or guilty. Everyone deserves to have their day in court and to have it done quickly. I do not know what the specifics are of this matter, nor why there is a delay of 2 years in terms of getting a trial date. Have you had a conversation with the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General?
No.
That hasn't happened.
The only certain people could go there, you know. Only certain people could have those conversations with those people.
It seems to me that there is opportunity for the necessary applications to be made to the court to have this trial date set, to have the innocence or guilt of the accused dealt with. And I believe that there are certain constitutional safeguards which should allow that. Now, it is true, caller, that we have had some difficulties in our administration of justice, and we've had some delays within the court system, even for civil matters. But it is more acute in the context of criminal matters when, as you say, somebody is charged and is awaiting trial. And so lengthy times spent behind bars while you await trial is really not the way to go. So I would really want to support you on that, getting a speedy trial date, but a lot depends on the circumstances, I suppose, which I clearly don't know what those circumstances are.
This ain't something what just a go on, you know. This a year's thing.
Well, I understand.
Especially over here in Nevis.
Well, I understand.
Especially here in Nevis, the officers and them, they drawn out the investigation, and sometimes you spend 4 or 5 years in jail for a crime you ain't commit, for a crime you commit. So when your sentence come now, you either time serve or you go home, because what? You don't spend the years them at jail, and at that them officers out here like. At that they do it. For years they're doing that.
But I think that when that is happening, that's why I asked if you had an attorney, because that is his job or her job. They're the ones who should be advocating on your son's behalf to prevent that kind of delay from happening. So that is why I asked the question of you. But I don't and can't get into that on the air. It is a matter that is before the court, no doubt. I can say that I hear you, I understand you. In fact, I am going to. But I'm going to sync it tomorrow because the Parliament is there, and I will commit to you that I'm going to raise generally, because I don't have the specifics, but I'll raise the matter with the Attorney General tomorrow, and say to him that he needs to look into these matters, because I agree with you. 2 years or more behind bars awaiting trial is not a good look for our judicial system.
Investigating?
Well, I don't know.
You investigating for 2 years.
Okay. All right. I hear you. And again, my heart goes out to you. I understand how you must feel. But certainly, as I said, I do not know the circumstances as to why the delays. And, well, in relation to the bail, I guess you have explained why your son has not been able to get bail. But getting bail and getting a trial date are two different matters. So we need to move with greater speed to get the trial date. So I hear you. I will have a conversation tomorrow with the AG.
Let us say April, sorry.
Right.
April are done and not and date ain't set yet.
Set yet. All right. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, caller. Thank you for bringing it to my attention, and I appreciate your call. Okay? All right. It is 20 minutes to the hour of 10 o'clock, and therefore it means we have 20 minutes left to take your calls. We're inviting your calls at 469-1616, 469-1700. The matter in which this clearly anguished mother has called in on is a matter of natural concern. The difficulty with criminal matters is, of course, there are always multiple sides to that story. And the fact that her son has not been granted bail might suggest, based on what she's saying, that the evidence that the court has seen suggests that he will be and create difficulties out here if he's allowed out on bail. Now, I don't have the specifics. I can't speak to those. But I do agree with her that every person is entitled to their day in court. In fact, the law presumes that we are innocent until we are proven guilty. Many people say somebody has to prove their innocence. That is not the case. The law puts the onus on the prosecution to prove guilt. And that is why we have what is referred to as the presumption of innocence. So this young man, whoever he is entitled to his day in court. And I think the mother is saying, let him have his day in court. Let a jury of his peers make the determination as to whether he is innocent or guilty. And then they can move on. But when you are awaiting trial, you are in limbo. You are neither guilty nor innocent. You have not been found one way or the other by the court. But nevertheless, you are in jail because you are charged. And in this case, it sounds as if it's charged with a very serious offense. As I said, I will raise the matter with the Honorable Attorney General tomorrow in a general way, since I have not had any specifics, nor have I asked for any specifics. But just a question of backlogs in the court. It's a problem across the region, and it is something that I understand from your caller that you're crying out about. I'm sympathetic to that because I do understand that constitutionally we have to move with greater alacrity to get people before the court and get a determination by the court of guilt or innocence, as the case may be. So I can't offer much more comfort than that, but just to say that I understand the point that you're raising, and I certainly believe that everybody who's listening would have heard the anguish in your voice as a parent. And so I will raise that tomorrow and see where that goes. I do not know what the young man is charged with or what it is alleged that he would have done. But that, as I say, is a separate matter to the point that you raised, a very legitimate point about how long somebody has to wait for a trial. So thank you for bringing it to our attention. And this is part of what this show seeks to do, to give the ordinary man and woman an opportunity to call in and to speak to matters that are impacting their lives, the lives of their neighbors, their community, and the life and times of the country. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, caller. You are on the mark. Caller, hello? Okay, looks like that caller has gone. Caller, please call back in. 469-1616, 469-1700. Those are the numbers if you want to call. We somehow missed that caller. And, of course, we hope that we can get as many calls in as possible before the 10 o'clock hour. We have now about, 17, 18 minutes left, so we're taking your calls. 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700, and those will be the numbers to call. Now, while I wait for the phones to ring, just to give a quick update, the Minister of Works, the Honorable Spencer Brand, who's also responsible for the revolution in water that we're seeing here on the island, has indicated today that the drilling program that we have embarked upon with some drillers from Trinidad, that is shortly set to resume. I think he indicated that the drillers will be back on island sometime in another week or thereabouts, and so we would expect that drilling should resume shortly. Just by way of update, we have contracted them to do 9 wells. 2 have already been drilled, and we started a third at Descents, but then we ran into some technical difficulties, so we'll have to now mobilize to redo that well and to drill the others. When we're done, we hope to get between 1.5 million and 2 million additional gallons of water per day. We're taking your calls, 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. So we continue to look forward to that, and that again is an investment in our infrastructure to ensure for the people of this island that whenever they turn on their tap, whether it's midnight, 1 in the morning, 4 in the morning, midday, you have water. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, caller. You're on the mark. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, good evening.
You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good evening, Brantley.
Good evening to you.
And good evening to you listening audience. Let me ask you a question about the R2. Did the Taiwanese give you some money one time to buy some dialysis machine? And if so, did you buy them? And if you didn't buy them, why you didn't buy them? I'll listen off here.
Okay, thank you very much, caller. I'm not aware that any funds would have come in to buy dialysis machines from Taiwan. We have never, as a government, set out to purchase any dialysis machines. We have had various training that has been offered for kidney care. In fact, we had a program with Taiwan dealing with kidneys, and we have had staff, including our nurses, who have traveled to Taipei and have had training. We have focused on care, preventative care, health education. We have focused on trying to get people to eat right, to exercise, and to avoid the NCDs, largely diabetes and hypertension, that are precursors for kidney failure. But I am not aware of any program to purchase dialysis machines, because this government has never sought to purchase any machines. We have said that when our hospital wing is complete, we will seek to offer dialysis services at that hospital wing. But in the interim, we are subsidizing the dialysis treatment that our patients are getting at the JNF hospital in St. Kitts. That has been our position. It used to be that our patients used to go to St. Martin and to Anguilla for treatment. Once that treatment became available in St. Kitts, the NIA has been financially supporting our patients to get that treatment, life-saving treatment, in St. Kitts. And we have a few of our patients that go over 2 or 3 times a week for that treatment on St. Kitts. We have never sought to buy dialysis machinery, because we have always said that the provision of dialysis is a complicated matter. It is not, as some were arguing, to just plug in a machine. You recall that some machines were purchased by the NRP administration, and they would have arrived here in 2013, I believe, after the government changed, with no training, nobody in place, no infrastructure in place. Not even the water filtration system was in place. Nobody trained. And so we decided that what we would do is defer the introduction of dialysis until such time as we were ready, the island was ready for it. And that is our plan, and that is what we are seeking to accomplish. We have 12 minutes left, and we're taking your calls. Let's go straight back to the phones. Good evening. Call, I'm so sorry. If you can call back in, 469-1616, 469-1700. Those are the numbers to call. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello? Oh, we've lost that caller. Caller, please try again. It looks like we're having a little problems with the phones. They're lighting up as if there's a call, but then we're not getting the individual. So please call in. If one number is ringing busy, call the next one, 469-1616, 469-1700. Those are the numbers that you can call to be a part of the show this evening. So, yes, let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Yeah, so Mr. Brantley, can you tell me when the hospital is going to finish so we could get these kind of treatment?
Okay, well, caller, we've given a number of updates. I can't tell you when the hospital is going to finish until I can tell you when it's going to restart, because you must have a start before you can have a finish. So what we've done, as we've updated before, we have asked our friends from Taiwan to assist. I can tell you that the Taiwanese have now come back, a company called OECC, I think they're called. They have now come back with their analysis and a costing, and the cabinet is considering that very carefully to determine how we move forward. We have said that we will resume the construction efforts this year. As we have pointed out time and time again, the exterior of the hospital, the physical shell, is complete, but what we now must focus on now is the internal configuration and the internal build-out. That is where the technical aspects of the hospital are about, and that is what we are now seeking to do. So we have got some numbers, we've got some costing, we've got a way forward. It is now for us to consider as a cabinet how we go about it and what we're going to do in terms of proceeding. But that is where we currently are, And once we've taken that decision, caller, we'll then be able to say to the division public, we propose to restart the project now at a particular date, and the project will then take X amount of time. So I got to give you a start date before I can give you an end date. Let me just reassure the public, however, that we are committed to getting this project over the line. We recognize that the project has been delayed. In fact, no work has been done at that project since COVID. We shut it down during COVID, and we did not restart it for a variety of reasons, which again we have gone through time and time again. But you can have my commitment that that project will be finished, as indeed we have finished every project that we have started on this island thus far. That one is delayed, but it will be done. And in the meantime, what we've ensured, caller, is that there has been no devaluing or no reduction in the quality of care and the level of care that is being offered at the Alexandra Hospital. The good thing about what we're doing is that this new building does not impact at all what we're currently able to do. And in fact, even as we've been waiting for this building to be delivered, we have enhanced to a significant degree the care that we offer by introducing a state-of-the-art 128 slice CT scan, brand new Philips machine at the Alexandra Hospital. In fact, over in St. Kitts, I believe the Prime Minister there has just announced that in the last few months, St. Kitts has got a similar machine that they're now installing. Ours has been there now for over 2 years. We have brand new mammogram machines, mammography I think the term is, and we have been providing that, including, as I just gave an update earlier, providing that service for free. We have new ambulances. We have invested. In fact, we hope to commission shortly, which was a part of the hospital project, our brand new kitchen, state of the art. I'm told that we're only waiting for some transformers in order to commission that. And that again was part of the project that we have been implementing. So we have not sat back. We have continued to improve our delivery of health care. But I certainly agree that we have to finish that particular building and commission it and get it working for the benefit of our people. And once I have a start date, I will definitely bring it to the public. But we are making progress because, as I said, the reports that we requested are now in, the numbers are now in, and it is just now for us to evaluate and determine what the best way forward is going to be, as we now have the partnership of Taiwan assisting us with that. So once I can get your start date, caller, then I can tell you with some degree of confidence what the end date is going to be. But I can't end before I start. And so we're focused now on seeing how we can restart that project and get it done to the satisfaction of the government and the people of Nevis. We have 8 minutes left, and we continue to take your calls at 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Going back to the drilling, just again to update that we anticipate that when this drilling is finished, we should have an additional 1.5 to 2 million gallons of additional water in the system, and that is what we are hoping to achieve. We will hopefully in short order be able to make some significant announcements about some developments on the island, and we anticipate that when that happens, they're going to have a need for water, they're going to have a need for electricity. So we continue to upgrade, and our upgrades are really intended to prepare us for the development that's going to come, prepare us for our new airport that we're hoping to come, prepare us for our new infrastructure and private sector investment that we hope to come, prepare us for geothermal energy, which we think will revolutionize our country, not just Nevis, but the whole Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. So we're putting things in place now. So when people see that investment, it's quite deliberate. We're putting matters in place to ensure that we are in a position to attract the level of investment to move the economy forward and ensure that our people have good paying jobs so that they can have the best life possible here on the island of Nevis. It's 5 minutes to. Let's continue to take your calls. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Brantley,
Yes, good evening.
what you and the government are doing right now about food security?
But caller, food security is not. Caller, you keep calling and hanging up. You know, if you stay on the line, we could actually have a conversation. But food security is an ongoing challenge for a variety of reasons. What have we been doing? We have been seeking to advance our efforts in terms of producing more food, more local food. We have, as I said, during COVID, our primary response was for our farmers, in support of our farmers. We have now operating on Nevis quite a few shade house production facilities. We have A1 Farms, for example. We have young Paris, I think his name is Richard Paris, I believe. We have young Anthony Gager. We have here on the Island Main Road Mr. Pinney. We have some stalwarts like what's it called now? The name now is eluding me for the moment, but we have quite a few individuals who have been involved. Mr. Lloyd Williams, they are all producing food, largely leafy greens and tomatoes and things like that, in a controlled environment, and the yield is quite good. We have been trying to incentivize our fisher folk. I mentioned free fish pot wire and reduced amounts on the fish pot wire. We have continued, Caller, to try to partner with the farming community so that we can produce more food. The big initiative that we also announced was our broiler industry. We were trying to create a slaughterhouse so that we could introduce more local chicken and more local chicken meat being available for consumption. It might surprise you, Caller, to know that Nevisians are actually consuming more chicken and fish, and so all of our chicken is imported, so we are working on that as well. So I say that to say that we have been continuing to make efforts. The broiler production facility, we hope that we can be able to get that out of the ground and constructed this year. We have some funding that's lined up to hopefully allow us to do that. We have gone through various iterations of what that will look like, but I think we have now the necessary plans dealing with a firm out of Canada. And so, as you know, we would have already invested in a self-contained unit, processing unit, that is on island and in storage. And so we just now need the building to proceed. We've identified some land right there by the back of the current abattoir where we hope to do that. So all of these are efforts that we are making insofar as food security is concerned to ensure that we feed ourselves and we can do a better job of it. I have oft reported to the public that when COVID hit, we were deeply concerned in the cabinet that if the Port of Miami were to close, our people would not be able to feed themselves. And so that is why we pivoted so hard to agriculture, which was our primary response to the COVID-19 pandemic. So we're not quite where we need to be, Caller, but we're certainly making concerted efforts to get there and to ensure that we can create in Nevis fresh food, available food, affordable food for our people. One of the things that, before I go, we are encouraging our people to do is a little backyard farming. All of us who have a little yard could do something. And we're also encouraging our people where we are doing landscaping for our properties, that we landscape with food. So instead of just planting ornamentals, we're encouraging people to also plant, whether it's banana, whether it is coconut, whatever it may be, to plant some fruit trees as well. People have complained, I know, about the monkeys, but we're still encouraging our people to try to do something. Go in that backyard from time to time and pick something to eat. That's very important for us. So, Caller, I hope I'll have your support on that and the support of the Nevision public, because it requires all of us if we are to achieve not just food security but food sovereignty. The banner struck up, ladies and gentlemen. It means we have to go. That's our show for this evening. I want to thank all who called, all who were part of the show, all who were watching and listening and commenting online. Thank you very much. We hope, with God's grace and mercy, to be back here with you next week, Wednesday, for another edition of On the Mark. In the interim, let me wish everybody a happy Easter. It is a most holy time of year. May we remember the reason for Easter and Christ sacrificing his life so that you and I can have hope of redemption. This show is rebroadcast tomorrow at 1 o'clock right here on Vaughan Radio. That's our show. Good night and God bless you.
All the power from the tower. This is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean. VON Radio from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis